So whenever we're talking about the work of Pythagoras, I think a lot of people who aren't familiar with his work can understand, or they may be familiar with the term the Pythagorean theorem, which is how we measure music to this day, correct?
Well, the Pythagorean theorem is more of a geometrical thing. It actually is the fundamental theory of alternating current. It's very interesting that music and alternating current theory almost run hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But Pythagoras was establishing through the musical interval a set of ratios. This was very important to them, was a set of ratios with a given number. And it was this number itself that had the power. It wasn't the music being performed as an entertainment or for other people to listen to. It was almost kind of like a voodoo thing. And Pythagoreans believed that by establishing this system of ratios, we could ascertain as humans where we fit in the infinite logarithmic period that goes from the tiniest things to the largest things of the world, which the Pythagoreans viewed as a sequential progression or regression, and not like today where it's disjoint particles and atoms and things that don't even make any sense anymore.
Mm-hmm. So, would you say that the beats and metronomes and things like that has to do with Pythagoras as well? The way that we have those now, correct?
No, not necessarily. But the Pythagorean system consists of is a succession of tones which relate to wavelengths. So basically, the higher the pitch, the shorter the wavelength.
Mm-hmm.
So the proportion between these wavelengths, like 3 to 2 or 2 to 1, this is what the Pythagorean system was about, was a sequential series of these tones, or what we now refer to as melody. What you're referring to is rhythm, which is more of the timing of the thing, and the ratios, you can have the similar proportionality in rhythms, but you don't actually have the wavelengths and frequency. It's a differential thing where it's only at the dividing point of the measures in music do you hear the sound. It's not continuous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, around the time of Kepler, through the church music, what happened then was the simultaneous sounding of tones, which are now known as chords, which have the effect of producing materializations in space. Depending upon planetary alignments and solar conditions and things that we don't even know about as the Earth flies through the universe that we pass through, which affects electrical devices and music. And the church, at that time, up to Johann Sebastian Bach, basically the churches, through the pipe organ and the acoustic dynamics of the church, which is extremely complex. I don't think anybody with the most advanced computer programs could ever duplicate that stuff today. Some of those pipe organs had as many as 15 or 18,000 pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And this was specifically designed to work with the church, which was kind of like an electrical network of coils and capacitors, but on a level, and then this thing pulled the cosmic energy out of the dielectric field of space with its copper roof, and it basically was a substation to God. It really doesn't differ too much than the transformer hanging on the pole outside your house, which takes the electricity, which would be completely unmanageable and dangerous in the house, and then brings that to a level where it's useful to your appliances and what have you, without just getting vicious and wild on you and blowing everything to smithereens. The church performed a similar function up to the time of Bach.
So the church consisted of, they were basically a transformer, someone that gets you in tune with God quite literally, instead of what we see now, correct?
Yeah, it's actual polarization. It's like, the way iron filings are influenced by a magnet.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually experienced this. And
this is basically the scientific method behind the spirituality, correct?
Well, this is you have to know I'm an electrical engineer, so I view things in terms of electric fields.
Mm-hmm.
Things that we can't see, such as, take example, a main power line that runs down the street of the town may have the same power flowing through it as typically maybe 3 to 4 locomotives.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of those is a locomotive that's near 1 million watts worth of power. This energy is flying down the space between the wires at roughly 98% the velocity of light, yet it's completely imperceptible. And the birds land on the wires and nothing happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
So music gets into that realm where you're transforming between the ether world and the physical world, to put it roughly.